Okay, second point under sustainability is sustainable management. Sustainable management doesn't need to be purely altruistic. That means doesn't need to be purely artistic or artistic. It can be any thing related to management. So to create a truly sustainable business, and organizations must develop a long-term culture and put its values into practice. So that's values actually are parts of sustainability, especially social sustainability practices. So to be truly sustainable, business need to put the values into practices and to develop a long-term culture that is sustainable, put values into practices and so on. So like other cultural practices we discussed so far, sustainability also need times and nurturing to grow. So is considered is a continuous responsibility, a long-term responsibility. We cannot just fulfill this responsibility and move on to another. So sustainability is the lifelong responsibility. So it needs time to nurture and to grow into becoming more sustainability in our practices. So culture and innovations are the most innovative company. Normally, they are being characterized by open, unconventional, collaborative, vision-driven, and accelerating cultures. So you can see the differences between one company to another company in terms of their adopting of innovations values. So normally, innovative company, they have that kind of values or that kind of practices that consider are more open. So when they are more open, they are giving more freedoms to employees to come up with the good ideas, creative ideas, innovative ideas, and so on. They also unconventional. That means they open to any contemporary ideas, not really strict in term of their rules, formalization standard, and so on. They also encourage collaborative. That means teamwork, cooperations with others to come up with the good ideas, with the creative ideas, innovation, and so on. Vision driven, as you can say, as you can see, many company which are with these vision driven, they have the goals, or they come up with the creative ideas, creative vision. So they indirectly, we can see that they are also encourage creativities, innovation. So many of the innovative companies, they have this kind of visions, vision driven in their that motivate as part of motivations for their employees to come up with goods or creative innovative ideas. Startup firms often have innovative cultures, because startup firms they normally new in their new in the business. So they normally want to come up with a better ideas, better innovative strategies compared to those already established companies. So they have to take a risk, come up with the new things that not been developed, that not been used by the established company, so that they can venture into new areas and then get more market share. So startup firms, they are usually small, because it's a small company, just a startup company, agile, and focus on solving problems in order to survive and grow. Culture as an asset. Culture can be significantly contribute to organizations' bottom line in many ways. So culture can be asset because they can contribute to company bottom line. When we talk about bottom line, we talk about productivity, we talk about profitability, we talk about effectiveness, and so on. So asset can be culture can be something valuable for the organizations. There are many as according to the studies, according to the literature, there are many more cases of business stories because of the excellent organizational culture. So many of the good or many of the successful stories out there regarding the good businesses, the more profitable businesses, organization, they all coming from excellent organizational culture. So we can say that organizational culture contributes to successful of the company. And according to this also, there are many successful business stories because of the excellent organizational culture. Then they are of success story despite bad culture. So it's rarely to find out or to hear that some businesses company or some successful businesses, they success because of bad organizational culture. Many of the successful stories of profitability of the company or effectiveness of the company or the of the good things about the company are coming from good or excellent organizational culture, are rarely coming from bad cultures. And even no success stories, that means no stories about successful organizations that come up from bad organizational cultures. So we can conclude here, the successful businesses, the successful story of businesses, that's mean in terms of profitability, in terms of productivity, in terms of effectiveness, all come from excellent organizational culture. Culture as a liability, here culture as an asset, that means something valuable to the organizations. This culture as a liability considered as a burden to the organizations, considered as a something that they have to bear. It's not something like good like an asset, but liability. This is actually liability is coming from accounting term. In the accounting, in the balance sheet, they have asset. Asset is something valuable to the company. Liability can be a burden for a company, can be like a credit debits. Liability can be some things that credits to the organization, that is something burden to the organization. So several dysfunction elements of culture. One is institutionalizations. Culture can become institutionalizations. That means they is culture normally is kind of flowing. Is a good to have. Is contribute to effectiveness of the organizations. But when it's become institutionalized, it become rigid. It becomes something that people do not want to associate with. So this is become like a bureaucracy. When culture become institutionalizations, it's like become a bureaucracy in the organization. We talks about bureaucracy. So bureaucracy, you have to follow order, you have to follow rule, regulations, formulation. So it become more stricter. So many this can be a liability to the organizations. And culture also can be barriers to change. Because of people are or employees in the organizations are too satisfied with the comfort zones, they do not want to change. So if let's say these do not want to change, this kind of hating to change, satisfied with the comfort zone. So if this kind of culture exists in the organizations, it become a barrier to change. So let's say the company want to come with a new in terms of introduce new technology, new policy. So if the culture of the organizations have this kind of barrier to change, it's actually a liability to the organization, because employees will not open their mind, will not want to change, to learn something or to adapt to the technology and so on. Barriers to diversity, culture can become barriers to diversity. If let's say in the organizations, everyone's all employees are kind of in agreements, they prefer to, they value something, But when organization introduce some things different, some maybe there are something different, maybe because of the organization are moving toward internationalize, for example. If the cultures bear have this kind of employees do not like to have differences in terms of, or do not want to be introduced with something different of what they have now, so it will also will become a problem to organizations to introduce something that is different from what they currently have at the moment. Culture also can become toxicity and dysfunctional if the culture is kind of that being developed in the organizations and kind of relate to the dysfunctions of the activities. For example, do not like something new, do not like something, for example, digitalized things. Do not. There are some people. There are some culture in the organizations. They are so satisfied with their current state, with the comfort zone. They do not want to learn something new. They do not want to be introduced with something new. For them, they consider it's annoying because they have to learn, especially for some employees. They find it's very difficult. This kind of culture, if the organizations have this kind of culture, it actually can become a toxic to the organizations, to the effectiveness of the performance in the organizations. And also barriers to acquisitions and merger. Sometimes a strong culture in the organization, strong organizational culture, where the bonds between employees in the organizations are quite close. So when the organizations downsize, when the organization want to merge with the other organizations, when the organization acquire another organization, they have to merge. So merge mean have to merge with the other organization. The other organization may have their own organizational culture. So when this organization A have to merge with the organization B, there will be a conflicting culture from, for example, organization A may have different organizational culture, organization B may have different organizational culture. So if the organization A have a strong organizational culture, and it will be very difficult to merge to these two company because of the conflicting cultures. So employees from company A do not want to tolerate with the cultures of employees from company B. So merging or acquisitions, merging mean a business company A with a company B, they merge to become one company. So acquisitions mean company A acquire or buy company B, and then they merge to become one. So company A have their own organization culture, company B have their own organizational culture. When they merge, they bring their own culture to the organizations. So if these two culture are conflicting with each other, especially if these two culture both are strong in their own culture, if they have to merge, it will be more difficult because employees will not want to cooperate with the other employees from other culture. So there will be conflicting, there will be a problem. So a culture also can give a headache to the company actually. How culture begins? As you all know, culture begins with the founder, because the founder set when the founder of the organizations or the business start or begin their organizations, they influence the employees with their values, how they want their organization to become, what kind of vision the organization want to be. So the founder sets the culture. So the ultimate source of the organizational culture is mentioned here is the founder that normally influence the culture. So founder have the visions of what the organization should be. So founder influence the culture in the organization, how the culture should be, and they give the set the rules and so on. So new organizations are typically small. So when the founder start the organization, typically small with the facilities, the founders with this, because of the small company, easy for the founder to facilitate their visions to all the members in the organization. organization. So that's how culture begins in the organization through its founder. This founder then facilitates or influence the culture, his philosophies, his ideas into the organizations, and then influence the rest of the members, employees to adopt, to practice this kind of visions, ideas, values, and so on. So then culture develop from there.